Get ready, please.
The Island Challenge Cup, Syracuse University of America against Oxford Brookes University C boat here. This time we've seen the 8s on the water this morning. Race number 4. Ready to go. Delay the Cox and the Buck station there. Beatrice Argyle now happy, but now Hannah Murphy isn't from Syracuse University. And they're both not happy. Get it right.
And this is a students' 8, so no squad members, no U23 medalists.
So just waiting for the boats to be stationary and balanced. Off and running in the Island Challenge Cup. This is Syracuse University of the USA on the Berkshire station, and on the Buck station, Oxford Brookes University C. And isn't that a measure of Oxford Brookes' depth? The fact that they can get a C boat into day 2 of Henley Royal Regatta. They've obviously got a big squad doing the right thing with their programme.
And not even that, but the Oxford Brookes seat is stacked with athletes who have been at Henley Royal before, whereas at Syracuse, it's everyone's first time here at the Royal. With the benefit of a coxswain, both boats going nice and level here as we come to about the same place where we had that dramatic finish from the previous race.
Yes, with last race in mind, we keep our eyes very firmly fixed on what goes on. With a Cox, it is a massive benefit, isn't it? That does help out the steering no end.
It does. She needs to, he or she, because of course it could be both genders in this boat, have to peek out over top of the tall, often 6-foot-something athletes. They'll be holding on to 2 small strings on their left and right hand, where their hands are on the gunnels there. That's affixed to a physical rudder that they can use to steer the boats. And very small steering can create a large swing. These are long boats, about 60 feet long.
Are you all right with male coxes being in female boats and vice versa, female coxes being in male boats? Because people new to row might say, well, why don't they just have the coxes as the boat, as the crew? We've had that in the GB Women's 8. We had Henry Fieldman, and he was doing his thing, coxing in the Women's 8. The last regatta bled in the European Championship, so it does happen quite regularly. But here we've got Beatrice and Hannah in the Oxford Brookes University and the Syracuse University boats.
As a coxswain, you need to have a unique combination of skills. You need to be able to not only tell people twice your size to go harder, to go deeper when they're doing one of the hardest things, but you also have to have such great boat feel. You need to know not just prescription what to say, but how to say it. How does your crew need to hear the message?
Yeah, motivational. How do they communicate, and how will the boat respond to that? It's a bit like being a player coach, isn't it? I suppose it's a step towards being a coach.
Perhaps so, and I think that every cox is going to take a different approach. Our coxswain, Kristen Kitt, undoubtedly is an athlete at heart, a motivational. She doesn't have an oar in her hand, but she is one of the main driving forces down the course.
And she was Canada's Women's 8 for the Olympics in Tokyo.
She was, and not just that, she's also a medalist from the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games as well. Okay. I think, and I'm happy to be fact-checked on this, but one of the few women in the world, people in the world, athletes in the world who can say that they have a medal from the Paralympics and the Olympics. And we'll get a chance to see her later on today. We'll see the Canadian Women's 8 compete, or pardon me, on Friday, I think.
So Canadian domination in the commentary box and out on the water, just how you like it.
But there's nothing quite like the sound and fury of an 8 here, and look at all those blades going in together, 16 legs down, perfect synchronicity as they swing their bodies, lots of overlap here. I know sometimes the angles can be tricky.
Well, after the drama of the previous race, this one is looking very tight. We're a good way down the course now, and there's nothing between these two. Oxford Brookes University C, you can see on the right. They're steering perfectly okay, but the Syracuse University, the Americans, have just been asked to nip back to their station. They just drifted out a little bit central, hadn't they? We hadn't, it wasn't quite as dramatic as previously, but we had the white flag just say just encouraging them to nudge back a little bit towards their Berkshire side.
And as we can hear the coxswains encouraging them on, little look out to the left, it will be the stroke seat position. So that's the last athlete with an oar to cross the finish line, to also keep an eye while they're setting the rhythm and tempo of the boat on that umpire to make sure that they're communicating to the coxswain who has the rudder if any adjustments need to be made. Look at this.
Gracious me. This is so tight. So we're just going in front of Remenham and Upper Thames rowing clubs. You can see them in the background, and so we are a good way down the course now. We'll be coming in front of the enclosures in the next minute or two. There's a surge going here from Oxford Brookes University C, but this is remarkably close.
Oh, this is the type of racing that you come here for stroke, feeling the boat next to you, fighting for a seat, pushing forward, but also holding your nerve, because you're in the middle of the race. You still have to keep those gears there so that you can wind the rate up towards the end, get yourself into competitive position.
So you can see there Maisie Gordon in the bow seat, moving to the other end of the boat. Jade Colton in the stroke seat. Beatrice Argyle, the cox. They've definitely put in a burst here in the last couple of 100 metres, Oxford Brookes University. Has it paid off? Or can the boat from New York State reply with anything here? Syracuse University, here they are, and have they been able to respond to that surge from Oxford Brookes University C?
Oxford Brookes is stroked by Jade Colton, who won the academic eights category in 2022. You know that she passed every ounce of information from her previous race to the rest of the crew, and it seems to be paying off here, so taking a few more seats.
It's about half a length now, isn't it? That Swan needs to try and either, yeah, out the way, please, because you're disrupting a good race here. That could be a, oh dear, this is an issue. The Swan just darts out the way, and that's not helped Syracuse University's cause one little bit. The Swan looked quite surprised, and now that has disrupted. You can just see them with their steering now have come out a bit too central, and that'll take time out of their race, won't it?
Every time that you have to adjust your course, there's a little bit of drag, and really at the end of the day, rowing is just a game of drag. So the straighter you can go, the less you're on the rudder, the more advantage that's going to give to your speed. But what a quality of racing as we're coming towards the Sturs enclosure. Now the athletes are going to be hearing the crowd cheering on their feet. Can Syracuse, do they have a sprint in them? Is there enough real estate left?
Well, we'll wait and see how much time they've got left to put something together here. Oxford Brookes University C, you can see there Maisie Gordon in the bow seat. They are almost home. They have held on to their lead. That crucial burst with around about a kilometre remaining in the race. And over the line they come now. They've got a little bit more work to do in front of the stewards enclosure, but a terrific eighth race there. So evenly matched. A little bit of an incident with the Swan as well. I reckon that Syracuse University might look at that and say, well, that didn't help our cause. They were trying to launch something at that point, but they couldn't put anything together that was going to hold on Oxford Brookes University C's progression through in the Island Challenge Cup. Terrific race.
That was fantastic. As an eighth rower myself, my legs are twitching underneath the commentaries box here. You could see how brave Syracuse was right towards the end, but it wasn't enough. And I think Oxford Brookes just looked so calm, control, and relaxed. And so now the job is to recover, relax, focus in for the next race.